for everybody who always wonders, what does it take to run an entire aquarium basement with almost 18,000 gallons of water? What's up with the humidity, the electricity, the cost, the food, the equipment, you name it, the facility, everything. That we're going to cover in this video. The behind the scenes look at what it really takes to run an aquarium basement with 18,000 gallons of aquariums in it. Let's go. Well, the first thing it takes is a basement. So you can't have an aquarium basement without a basement, and we're going to start from one side of the basement here. We're behind the 3,000 gallon shark aquarium, which is actually 4,500 gallons of water in the total system. Then of course we flow out into the main room with little 220 gallon tanks over there, 2,000 gallon tanks here, in-wall tanks over there, nano tanks over there. And for good measure, we roll all the way to the other side of the basement where, as you can see, more aquariums. But the crazy thing, we reached the other side of the basement and I'm running out of room, so I guess we could put some more aquariums in here. But ultimately, anyone who follows the channel knows we had to add on to the basement, the aquarium basement annex. So a lot more room for a lot more aquariums, especially really big aquariums like this 33-foot behemoth over here. So if you haven't guessed it yet, the key thing is you gotta have a big amount of space to do this. Basements are obviously preferred because we got a lot of weight with a lot of water, and basements like mine that are partially underground are much more insulated, and that's going to key into this video because you're going to see that there's a lot of things you need to do to make an aquarium operation like this efficient. Otherwise, you just wouldn't be able to do it, whether it be the cost of the maintaining the space, maintaining the aquarium, stocking the aquariums, feeding the aquariums. There's a lot of things you have to do to make this work. And so right off the rip, one of the things that helps me the most is I live in a climate where I can do things like open the sliding glass door and open windows and let the air move through and keep the fish basement low humidity and the right temperature for zero cost. And then for the rest of the year, I use ductless mini splits. So what you can do with these is you can move air throughout you basically can do air exchange, continually move the air in the fish basement through the system on eco mode, which uses very little electricity but takes the humidity out of the air. And because I'm the one who finished the aquarium basement and I knew I was putting these aquariums in here, it is extremely insulated. And so with high quality doors, windows, and lots of insulation and oversized thick walls, it allows these mini splits running in an eco mode 24/7. When they're on, they're running 24/7, just moving air in and out of the system, and the condenser coils outside are taking that humidity out. And it basically what ends up happening is you have a couple constant temperatures. In the wintertime, it's always 75, and in the summer, it's always 77. And what ends up happening with all the equipment like lights and pumps and everything, it tends to keep the water temperature inside the tanks usually around 78, 79 degrees. With the exception of the discus aquarium, I run a little warmer at 82. So even though we're doing everything we can to be incredibly efficient, the first thing you're going to find out is that electric panel that was put in your old house in 1973, well, that's not going to cut it for a fish basement. So in comes the extension panel, the upgraded service with another panel with dedicated lines just for aquariums. And if you think it ends here, it doesn't, because anyone who's following this channel knows I'm working on another extension with a 12,000 gallon, and guess what? It's got one of these as well. Okay, so you need a big space, you need to be efficient, it's got to be well insulated, you got to use new technology like ductless mini splits, DC aquarium pumps, LED lighting, but it doesn't stop there. You need a lot of water, because 18,000 gallons of water, there's a fair amount of evaporation, top-off water changes, so let's talk about that. So in my scenario, one of the big benefits of where I live is I have a well, and the water that comes out of my well is extremely clean. It's basically right around neutral, 7 pH. It is very low TDS, less than 20, and of course it's free less the electricity from the well pump. So what you'll find is you're going to want to have an oversized well pressure tank, because you're going to lose a lot of water. And since I finished this basement myself, it's a good idea to go ahead and add water spigots all over the basement, especially right over top of where you have your aquariums. And the same thing goes for running electrical. Everything's up high and everything is right where I need it. The next step is prevention. All these giant tanks, I don't care how much air exchange you have, how excellent you are at removing humidity, you got to cover these bad boys. You got to have tops on all these tanks, or you're going to be losing a lot of water to evaporation. And you're going to spend a lot of money getting all that water vapor out of the air, keeping the air conditioned. I mean, could you imagine this 33-foot behemoth if it didn't have tops on it? Whew, that's a lot of humidity. And so next up, the reason we had to do those extra sub panels everywhere is even with efficient equipment, we use a lot of electricity. It's easily my first or second biggest expense, so let's take a look at what I do to try to keep the cost down. So the number one thing I do is I condition the space, the room itself. The air within the room is what I control, the temperature and the humidity, and I do not run any heaters in any of my tanks with the exception of the one 220-gallon discus aquarium. So we save a ton of, if you try to heat individual tanks, it is an insane amount of money. The second thing we do is we use inexpensive, low-powered LED lighting everywhere. We also double up, so we use lights to grow the plants up in the riverbank, and then that light also cascades down into the aquarium. And for most aquariums, it is enough light to illuminate the aquarium properly. Some of the other massive tanks, like the 4,500 gallon, we do use some supplemental lighting, but again, always LEDs. And probably second only to the heaters in cost is the return pumps. So we use a lot of DC return pumps and we use a lot of highly efficient air pumps. So we use those DC pumps so that we can efficiently move 12,000 gallons per hour of water from all the way down there, all the way to the bottom of our massive wetland upflow filter so that it can become filtered and flow back into the aquarium and maintain a aquarium of this size on minimal electricity usage and minimal equipment. Okay, so we focus on DC pumps, no heaters, conditioning the airspace, only LED lighting, and you might be seeing something else, some other theme. What is common to all of these aquariums? Yeah, that's right. We don't work against nature. We work with nature. How do we do that? Well, I think this might be giving away. We have big, massive riverbanks built into the aquariums with huge amounts of emergent growth plants that are constantly taking nutrients out of the water, lessening the need or the frequency for water changes, and filtering the aquarium using nature power, powered by LEDs and windows. And you might say to yourself, well, that doesn't work for me for every tank. What about my African cichlid tanks? I can't just have plants in with them, or maybe I don't have space up above. So what do I do? So my answer is still plants. They just go in the sump instead. You get all the benefits, and you don't even have to have them in your aquarium, just connected via a water flow. Okay, so I said electricity was either my first or second biggest expense to run the aquarium basement. What's the other big expense? Let's see here. I got a lot of fish. I got a lot of mouths to feed. Let's check out what I need to do for food. So yeah, I think you probably guessed it, it's fish food. Lots of fish equals lots of mouths, which is lots of fish food being fed. And I also, I strive to keep my fish healthy, not just enough food to go along like a pet store, like every third day kind of thing. I feed them high quality foods and I feed them frequently. So the costs really do add up. And it's not just the dried food. There's a lot of frozen foods for the marine fish, and we have big shrimp and squid and fish over here from the Asian grocery store for the big sharks and rays and everything. So there's a lot of cost in fish food. Okay, so if I'm not starving my fish, and I don't make my own fish food, and I don't have a fish food sponsorship, Northfin, Extreme, Hikari, how do I save money on fish food? So the key to that is you need to buy before you need. So you need to buy at the right time. So when things are on major sales, you need to stock up. So you're going to see this with the equipment as well. You have to do things ahead of time. You have to be prepared to purchase when the sale comes. So what happens is I'm always looking for the big sales, and they do come 2, 3, 4 times in a year from various vendors, and their food will be on sale for a lot cheaper than other times of the year, and so I will stock up and I will keep extra so that I'm always able to purchase during those times where I'm going to get my goal is to shoot for like 30 to 35% off, and you'll see the same thing with the equipment.
So just like fish food, I have to keep a lot of equipment in stock here in the aquarium basement because with so many tanks and so many pumps running, I never know when one's going to go fail and I'm going to need to put another pump in there, as well as keeping backup like air pumps, air tubes, those types of things. And every time I buy a pump, I always buy at least 2 so I have a spare. But what I really focus on is buying them in bulk when they go on sale, like these Seachays that I got from Bulk Resupply for 35% off. So that's the best way to save, is to be able to purchase ahead of time and not in response to running out of food or a broken pump and having that need forcing you to have an expensive purchase on your terms and get a better price. So for anything you know you're going to need over time, like marine salt for the saltwater water changes, fish food, backup pumps for pumps you already use, or backup LED lights for lights you already use, always take advantage of stocking up ahead of time. These things don't go bad. You have it on the shelf. When the problem happens, you have the tool to fix it. And so another one you might have guessed is, with 18,000 gallons of water and all these tanks, does anything ever go wrong? Well, of course things go wrong. So how do I handle things when they go wrong at a larger scale, like would happen in my aquarium basement? So if I told you I have it overflowed pretty much every single tank in here, including 4,500 gallon systems and 2,000 gallon systems, I'd be lying to you. I've turned on for top off water, got distracted, and made a mess. So what do I do when you're spilling 1,000 gallons of water? Well, as you probably guessed, towels really aren't going to cut it. Again, we're back to being prepared ahead of time, and that preparation is air movers, which move a lot of air across the floor. I have 4 of these, and whenever there's a spill, you crank these on, and you're going to get that water up into the air in the form of humidity really, really quick. And then once your air movers have that water off the floor and into the air, you're going to get rid of it either through open windows or ductless mini splits, depending on the time of the year. So we already sort of touched on it inside the aquarium basement with my racks full of fish food and equipment, but it extends further out into the shed here. And what I mean by that is preparedness. So we have everything we need to deal with problems that are going to happen, whether it be extra plumbing, trash cans for mixing water or pumping water out, extra equipment over here, filter pads, you name it. Anything we're going to need that can be stored for long term, we have out here in the fish basement auxiliary building, or otherwise known as a shed. So again, you need space to do some of this operation. You need a big basement. You're probably going to also need something like a shed like this. This is going to allow you to keep quite a bit of stuff for when you need it, because you really have to have it when the problem happens. It's not something where you can have something on a big scale break and then send off in the mail for a replacement. And there's one emergency type situation you guys might be thinking of that I haven't mentioned yet is, well, what happens when it's not broken equipment? Or me making dumb mistakes like overfilling tanks? What if it's the power going out? And what if it does it in the middle of winter when it's freezing cold where I live? So you might have noticed that I have air pumps on every single one of my aquariums, and they're not the main filtration. Extra air in the water column is always a good thing, but what they're for is for my solar generator here. If the power goes out, I run extension cords from this solar generator to all my air pumps, and it can run it for 5 days as it sits, but it also has solar panels, so in the event of a major catastrophe, I could also charge it with these solar panels, and that's enough to keep all the tanks running so that me and my assistant can rest easy. Okay, so the fish aren't going to suffocate, but you said, what if the power goes out in the winter and it's freezing cold? Well, how do you keep that massive fish basement up to temp? Well, you do it with 1K kerosene heater and 1K kerosene fuel. So this fuel can be stored indefinitely, and this heater can be run inside without any harmful exhaust emissions. So when I crank this bad boy up, I can keep the entire fish basement in the mid-70s off of 1 container of 1K kerosene per day. And I do have 10 days worth of 1K kerosene in reserve at all times. So I saved the most important factor for last. So unless you're independently wealthy and can afford to have people build all these things for you, including massive aquariums, and somehow get them into your house and everything, well, then okay, you're good to go. But for the rest of us, me included, the only way I could have this is by putting in a ton of sweat equity. So what does that mean? Well, I finished the basement. The basement was empty. It was just concrete and block walls. I built an addition onto the house. I built the aquariums myself. The filtration, I build the filtration. There's no, it's rocks on top of a standoff from the bottom. So I'm using just bacteria and aggregate and water flow and plants. So the idea here is that the DIY nature of it, the sweat equity, the building it yourself, that's, at least for me and for any of us who aren't, super wealthy, that's what it takes to build something like this. Because without that level of effort, that level of input from yourself, from your time and your skills, the only way you're going to achieve this is with a lot of money. So if you're interested in this kind of thing, the behind the scenes, what it takes to run all this stuff, what it takes to build these tanks, and you're thinking, man, I missed it, it's already all built. Well, not by a long shot. There's a lot of things come into the fish basement, including a part of the fish basement that won't even be in the basement. It'll be another annex replacing the sunroom, as well as there's still plenty of tanks I'm building. So if you want to see these tanks get built out, if you want to see a whole new 20 by 24 addition to the aquarium basement with a 12,000 gallon DIY tank built in it, stay tuned because it's all coming. And absolutely last thing that really shouldn't go last, but all of this, the reward for all of this, other than if you're a diehard fish keeper, keeping the fish themselves a reward, but the true reward for me has been meeting all of you guys on the channel, the back and forth and comments, the conversations. I've learned a lot. We've had a lot of good conversations. I appreciate all the input. I definitely appreciate many of you who've become members to the channel or members to the Patreon to give extra support to the channel. And then lastly, I've got the opportunity to meet a bunch of you on my Discord, where there's been a lot of you guys that want to build these types of things, and it's your first time, and I love that I'm able to help people out because I've been doing it now for a long time, and I know that when I built my first tank, all I had supporting me was forums on the internet with some text comments from people ask questions and a few tiny little grainy 480p pictures on there. So I love the fact that with modern technology and with 30 years of experience under my belt, I can help people build their first tank and have it be an awesome tank and have it hold up and stand the test of time. And there's nothing cooler than seeing somebody build their first 1,000 or 2,000 gallon tank. It just changes the hobby. It's awesome. So Jason Dean, for example, he's currently building an awesome tank, and we're going back and forth on that. Great guy. A lot of other great people. Victor, a lot of other people on the Aquarium Domain Discord. So all of you members and patrons, big thanks to you guys. I know I don't give you enough thanks as I should, but I truly appreciate you guys, and as well as everyone who watches the videos and comments. I appreciate all your comments, and as you guys know, I love going back and forth and talking, when there's good topics on there. So it's awesome, and that's one of the best parts of having an aquarium domain fish basement. As always, I thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you pretty soon because we got some progress going on this 1,200 gallon deep water Lake Tanganyika tank.